Hi, happy day after Easter. Sorry I didn't get out a video before Easter, but I figured since this week is kind of a slow week in terms of peer reviews and final drafts, and that is it. Hopefully you guys kind of already know the drill, and this wasn't going to be such a big deal to get this out to you late on Monday. A couple of things that I wanted to make you guys aware of. First of all, I'm going to take us to our home page and just show you what's going on quickly. As I mentioned, this week all we have to worry about are, if you look, we have 3 peer reviews due by Thursday at 11:59 p.m. That's on Turnitin.com under peer mark. So if you didn't participate in the other 2, hopefully you're participating in this one. Because there are points associated with it. You'll do 2 peer reviews on PeerMark as well as 1 self-review. And when you go through those, I'm going to show you where that's located under our class. You'll see right under RBA First Draft, it says PeerMark right here. And so you're going to want to click on that, and that will take you through some different questions that you need to answer, but also I wanted to show you that there's a different way that you can comment on your peers' papers by using that peer review checklist, which if you notice, if we click on this, oops, wrong one, sorry, I'm in the wrong view. If we hopefully click on this peer review, that peer review checklist is listed right here. Now I want to briefly walk you through this peer review checklist. So you have 2 checklists to go through. You have that first one, which is directly associated with PeerMark, where you're answering questions about the readability, you know, if it makes sense, and answering those questions on a scale of 1 to 5, what's going on with their paper. And those questions are attached on the, oh, that's the wrong side for you guys, on the right-hand side of the screen. But if you look at this peer review checklist that went into my, somewhere, hold on, I just downloaded it. Peer review checklist, online. Oh gosh, where did it go? Peer review checklist online. What you'll notice is that there's some other questions in which you need to answer and go through and specifically mark up on their papers. So, do they have parenthetical citations for all quoted material, and does it match the works cited entry? This is super important because I've noticed that many of you have been getting in trouble and accidentally plagiarizing, but anytime at all that you use information that you've taken from an online source, even if it doesn't say in the topic proposal that you need research and you're just kind of doing some preliminary research, if at any point you use someone else's work in your paper and don't cite that with the signal phrase according to so-and-so, or the article states, with that quoted material in quotation marks and that parenthetical citation at the end with their last name and the page number, or maybe just the article title if there is no author name, it is considered plagiarism. Plagiarism is illegal. I have had you guys read the Avoiding Plagiarism from Steps to Writing Well section 2 times so far this semester, and it seems like we're still having issues with it. So I don't know if we're not reading and not understanding what plagiarism is, or what is going on, but you guys absolutely have to cite material no matter what if you take it from another source. Even if you're going to use it later and you're going to cite it later, that's not going to fly. You have to cite it when you use it for whatever assignment you're using it for, because even if there's no research associated with that assignment and you do decide to use something that you found from your research, it must be cited. Otherwise, you guys are going to get in trouble academically, and the steps to that are, if you plagiarize once, basically I'll send you an email or we'll have a FaceTime meeting that says, hey, you've plagiarized, this needs to be taken care of immediately. The second time it happens, you're withdrawn and failed from the course, no questions asked. And Turnitin.com checks everything through different online sources, online databases, anything that's ever been cited or anything that's ever been quoted online will go through that Turnitin check. So make sure that when I say read Avoiding Plagiarism and Steps to Writing Well, make sure you understand that that is your assignment, to understand what plagiarism is and how not to make that mistake. Now, we've talked about this a few times, but apparently, yeah, as I said, it's not getting through. So make sure that you are using those parenthetical citations, those signal phrases, and quotation marks around the material that you took. All right. Also, something else I noticed is that many of you aren't actually checking my comments on the feedback studio, and it's kind of pointless for me to comment and offer you guys suggestions for corrections or for improvement if you guys aren't checking that. So I want to show you where that's at on Turnitin. But as you're going through, and we're going to be doing two different things on Turnitin at the same time. So I'm going to show you how to check for comments, and I'm also going to show you how to go through this peer review checklist and make the actual comments on the paper that you need to be commenting on. Now I'm going to show you based on kind of the teacher view, so it's going to be somewhat different in terms of how you actually get into the papers, but the commenting aspect will be the same. So I'm going to actually get out of your class and show you in a different class so that no one is embarrassed or anything like that. I don't want that to be happening. And I'm going to just take, for example, this first draft. And we're going to go into this one. Now, when you're making actual comments in PeerMark, you're going to have, their paper listed right here, and then on the right-hand side are going to be those questions. So it's going to look a little bit different than this, but the commenting bubble is exactly the same. So say I feel like this thesis doesn't make any sense. I'm going to use my cursor, click on the part where I want to make a note, click on this little bubble, and then I get to write something in the bubble like thesis needs to be cleared up. And then I click off of that, and then that bubble will appear to whoever is using that, whoever's paper you're actually revising. So make sure that you are doing those types of bubbles for this peer review checklist. If you're looking at all of their books, journal titles, and databases on their Works Cited, making sure that they're all in italics, this is a really easy way to use those bubbles so that they realize what they've gotten wrong. For example, this one is an incorrect citation, so I could easily just write incorrect citation, italicize, italics where needed, see peer review checklist, or something along those lines. For example, none of these have periods at the end, so period at end of works cited entry. That would be a way for you to make that note for them so that they know that that's something that they're messing up on. And I noticed that it's not happening on all of them, so I would just say see throughout works cited so that that message gets across to your peer. Now, the other thing that I wanted to mention about this peer review checklist is you're going to want to help them to check for MLA format. So is their title centered? The paragraph spacing's at 0? Is it double spaced, etc.? These should all be kind of reviews for you guys. But you should be going through all of these different ideas in their paper and using those bubbles for anywhere that they might need a little bit of help. Now, if they, for example, don't have topic sentences for any of their paragraphs, make a note of that somewhere on their paper. It can be at the very top of the page. You might go to the very top and just make a note that says topic sentences need to be included on all body paragraphs. So that's a really easy way to help your peer out so that they actually know what it is that they need to look at in terms of the peer review checklist. Okay? The other thing that I wanted to mention to you is how to actually look at those similarity reports. So for example, if you turn something in and you realize that there's a similarity report and this number, this 3 is much higher, like say it shouldn't be over 25%, so if it's at like 48 or 50, you need to go in there and you need to figure out where it is that your similarity report is picking up these numbers so that you can go in and fix them. See here, it actually There's some quotations around it. She's included a parenthetical citation, although it's incorrect, and she's used a signal phrase. So that's not something that, even though the citation's incorrect, that I'm going to be looking at in terms of plagiarism, because we can fix a citation. What we can't do is fix that attribution to that source if you haven't done it in the first place. So make sure you're doing that. Also, make sure that you are clicking on this little purple button here on the side when you're going in and viewing your information, because all of these purple notes are going to be grammatical errors outside of whatever the comments are that are left by me or your peers, the similarity report, and then the grammar is actually checked by Turnitin.com. So make sure that you're using all of those resources when you go back in and check for my feedback, check your peer feedback, etc. So that should be it as far as Turnitin.com. A way to get into that feedback studio for you, if you are going in as a student, is, say for example you are Carly. What you're going to do is you're just going to click on this similarity report, and that is going to actually bring you straight into the comments that I give you, the similarity report and the grammar report. Now if these are black, that means that you need to enable them so that all of those reports can pop up by just clicking on them. You can also do it by clicking on this one and making sure everything is checked. So hopefully that clears up the feedback. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is I can tell when you guys have actually checked. Like obviously Carly did not check any of my comments. These are the only two individuals in this class who actually checked. So we can go back in and look online to see who's actually checked for my feedback. If you're not doing as well in the class as you had hoped, maybe it is just simply because you're not checking that feedback and making those making those corrections that you should be making. So that's it for the Feedback Studio comments, the peer review checklist, and the Turnitin peer mark assignment. The other thing that I wanted to mention to you guys is that as far as the final drafts are concerned, you need to have 6 scholarly sources, so they need to be coming from the databases and they need to be peer reviewed. So double check on that, those 2 videos that I sent out to you that were library videos. The way that you do that very simply is go to all databases, and let's just say I'm searching EBSCOhost. I'm going to get in there right away. And maybe not right away, it's taking me a little bit of time. If you're logging on from home, you're going to have to click Lake Areas, library, and then enter in those passwords from the resources page that I've submitted for you guys in resources, so you can have access to it. We'll go to EBSCOhost. And then we're going to click on Academic Search Premier. Academic Search Premier is one of the better databases that has mostly scholarly journals. And then you're also going to notice that the ebook collection, I'm going to keep that checked, because most books are scholarly, and so that's a really good source for you to use. Now say the first thing I'm going to do is go to Advanced Search. So I clicked that Advanced Search here. The second thing I'm going to do is click Full Text. And this button here, this is where those scholarly peer-reviewed journals come in. If you don't click this scholarly peer-reviewed journal, you're going to find all kinds of junk that you don't necessarily want. You might have newspaper articles, magazine articles that haven't been even checked by experts in the field. So this is so important for you guys to check and get at least 6 of those scholarly sources. Additionally, you're going to want to use those Boolean operators. So for example, if I'm paying college, my topic is paying college athletes, I'm going to go text all text. I'm probably not going to find very much. Oh, just kidding. I think the actual search would be paying college athletics. I don't remember. There's one that I can search that it only brings up 1. But see, even here, I don't want to search 1,400 sources. So I'm going to say paying college athletes, and then I'm going to use this Boolean operator and say or. Actually, I'm going to say and, because then that's going to narrow my search even farther. Paying athletics. Let's see. Actually, let's do college athletics. And I'm going to search. And that narrows it down to 58 if I use that and. Now if I use or, it's going to broaden it. So say I only got 2 to start with. If I use or, it's going to make my search results much, much larger, and I'm going to have more